Welcome once again to another edition of the Throwing Bagels podcast. Kevin Mooney here with you alongside Chris Douglas, Jason Hamo. Hey guys.
Hello.
We have a new record here, most guests in a podcast. It's
Yes.
kind of like giving work Zoom call vibes. There's so many people on the screen right now, but it's great. It's great because this episode we're going to talk about the Dr. Lewis B. O'Donnell Media Summit, which took place last week. And joining us now on the podcast are three students that played a critical role in putting the annual summit together. So joining us is the event director of the Media Summit, Alex Moss. Hi, Alex.
Hello.
Alex is a senior broadcasting and mass communications major, also business administration as well. Jesse Kushner is with us as well. He's the assistant event director of the summit. Hey, Jesse.
Hi, how are you doing?
All right, great. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
We're hanging in there. We're hanging in there.
That's good.
Jesse's also a senior broadcasting major and a creative writing student as well. And also Morgan Schaffer, the social media coordinator of the summit. Morgan's a sophomore broadcasting major as well. So Morgan, thank you for taking the time to join us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So it's great to have you all here because this was a great topic, a great theme was tech evolution and the future of TV production and distribution. That was the whole theme of this year's session, and we'll get to that momentarily. But first off, Alex, Jesse, and Morgan, last week was the Lewis B. O'Donnell Summit, which you played an instrumental role in. Also, the inauguration of a new president, Dr. Wosu. What was the feeling like on campus during those two events last week?
It was definitely a lot of excitement, and also for us, like on the summit, a lot of nervousness and excitement going into it. They moved the summit up a month. Normally we have it at the end of October. So it's definitely very interesting to get ready for that a month ahead of schedule versus, having 2 full months when you get back in. But I think it went really well.
When does the planning begin for the summit? Like how far in advance do you start planning things out like that?
We do our initial planning in April. So that's when we first had like our first meeting, our general interest to see who would want to be involved with the summit and what roles they would want to play. And we basically work on it the entire summer as far as like inviting people, getting logos ready, getting press ready, anything like that. And I'll leave it to Jesse and Morgan for anything else they want to add as far as what we also do.
Yeah, no, I was literally gonna say the same exact thing. I had nothing really to add. I did want to note though that something like this is definitely a lot harder to put on, being that it did start a month earlier. And I was even talking to Lou Borelli a little bit after the whole summit, kind of like wrapped up, and we were with all the career connectors, and he said to like really manage, I guess, how much that is supposed to go into the summit. Starting something like this would have like had to have happened maybe a week after this event, like getting right back to it for next year's summer.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a lot.
Moving it up a month, did it change what you guys had to do, or were you guys pretty set either way?
The pressure was definitely on, especially because we were moving it up a month early. That really added a lot. And then on top of the presidential inauguration, we had a bunch of like different like classes and like different clubs like WTOP and WNYO. They were all just like shifting out, taking turns, like who was going to be filming this, who was going to be filming what, and then pushing it up a month and then just pushing it so close together that really like just made everything 10 times worse, I would say, because like these are brand new students who have never worked with this equipment before, and then now they're being like, okay, now you have to put on this professional live stream that is quality enough for people at home and probably people back home with President Nwosu who are also going to be watching this. And then also we had a brand new like event director, our faculty advisor. This was his first year doing this, so that really like put a wrench in things as we were like trying to contact different people that the previous event director knew. It was just really all over the place for like the first like half a month, I would say.
And who was the faculty advisor for this?
So our faculty advisor was Francisco Suarez. He actually has his own podcast, so that's kind of cool that he invited us to this. But yeah, no, it was his first year doing this. Before that, we had Professor or Dr. David Kreider, who usually would head it up.
Dr. Kreider, like we used to work together in radio way back in the day because we were both at WSYR radio. So yeah, he's a phenomenal professor, just a great guy. So it's funny hearing these names and that we've crossed paths in the past. That's pretty cool. When and Jesse, you mentioned Lou Borelli. So I know Lou Borelli and Al Roker were really the two driving forces, Oswego alumni behind the big forces behind the creation of the Louis B. O'Donnell Media Summit. What roles do they play these days? Do they still have a pretty much a hands-on role?
So at least from what I saw, Lou does try to have a hands-on role. He would be at a lot of like the faculty meetings. And then he did show up for the day of the summit, like he wanted to be there. He was involved. We did a thing where we had a lot of students break out and we went into classrooms. So he was in a classroom with me and then Rich Wolf, and he got to talk to the students, kind of get them involved. And I think it's pretty apparent he tries to at least stay involved in some way, shape, or form, at least especially going into the 20th anniversary. He
Yeah.
was he's definitely there as a guiding force sometimes.
As Kevin mentioned earlier, right, the theme was tech evolution and the future of TV production and distribution. So what led you guys was, I don't know if it was you who picked you three who picked the theme of it, but what led to selecting this as the theme of the summit?
So the first few meetings, at least for the student meetings of the summit, because we had faculty and student meetings, we kind of just brainstormed what we would want and could see as a theme. Each student kind of brought like 3 or 4 ideas of what they thought would be cool, who they might want to invite. We kind of compiled that. Actually, Morgan compiled that into a Google form that was sent out, and people voted on it and said, okay, I like this, or oh, I don't like that. That's how we kind of settled on it. And then the faculty also helped decide like what they thought would also be best. And so that's kind of how it went. Morgan, do you have any other notes as to how that went, especially being the one who did the Google form?
So funny enough, a little like behind the scenes thing. The original idea that we had thought about was going to be like an SNL style thing. So like focusing on like the live recordings aspect of it. And that's how we got like the idea to like invite like Richard Wolf because he does a lot of like satellite broadcasting, live recording, and so we wanted to bring him on for that. And then the faculty was like, okay, we got to do something a little less like copyrighty, but we can probably like focus on like that technology part.
Mhm.
And that's how we ended up bringing in Amata Kaba as well, because I know she does some live work as well.
Yep. Amada, it was a 2019 grad. It works at the A&E network now. Jake Piacenti was there, another panelist, class of 2019, technical director with CBS Sports headquarters. Richard Wolf, you mentioned, he was class of 1976, former vice president, media executive at ABC. Cameron Jones, class of '09, he's a producer with ABC News Live. So these are all incredibly talented panelists that really do have they do have their feet very much in that ocean of producing live events. Yeah, so that was great to see. Given that they're all four were Lakers, is that typically how the panelists shake out, or do you sometimes have panelists that aren't Oswego grads?
Since it was the 20th anniversary, the Department of Schema especially really wanted to hone in on like the alumni aspect, and because we have so many alumni in the field, and that since Oswego has such a high rate of their graduates going into their prospective field, we figured it would probably be the best way, and that's why all of our career connectors that we had as well, all of them were Oswego alumni as well.
Were the panelists separate from the career connectors?
Yes. The career connectors, they just kind of were there and watched during the panelists like session during the actual media summit, and then they broke out after.
So what's the process for selecting summit panelists? Is there like a vote that goes on, or is there a survey that goes out? Maybe, Jesse can jump in and kind of give us the idea of how that happens.
It was more of like, I guess it's just a survey between all the students in particular. I do have to say, when we were focusing more on the idea of the like SNL, we were trying to pick out people to potentially like come in and talk about, some of their experiences in television, like, such like live stuff. But I definitely think that did change when, the faculty was like, we can't really, it's kind of copyright. It was more so just like students picking everyone and who, and I do have to say some of the faculty members did have a part in who we should, I guess, invite as well. So yeah, it was really just a group effort.
And how is it? How do you get selected for the summit to work on the summit? Is there a
Um,
process? Do you have to apply for it?
no, I mean, I don't know about Alex and Morgan, but I do have to say, I think I was just in the right place at the right time because at the time I was taking Professor Suarez's video production class, sorry. And he was just talking in front of the class about the media summit and he needed help. And I thought it would be a really cool opportunity. I honestly I didn't know what I was actually getting myself into, but I just thought it sounded cool. So I signed up. And then, as we were doing stuff over the summer, I was like, I got to do work. And so, as the whole thing went on, got used to it, but it was very cool. It was very
You mentioned being in the right place at the right time as you three kind of go into the career of broadcasting and journalism or whatever your path is going to be. Right place at the right time sometimes is what gets you in the door. So just keep that in mind going forward. A little advice from three alum here.
Especially in this business,
Yes.
especially in the broadcasting business. What did all of you take away from the summit?
I definitely learned you have to make sure that, you're actually communicating with them, you're making sure that everybody's on the right page about everything and that everyone kind of knows what's going on. So I definitely got a lot better at making sure that I knew where my team was and my team knew where I was. Like I couldn't just like, disappear into thin air if we have like a project due at midnight. So it was definitely a great learning opportunity and also a great opportunity to speak in front of a lot more people, at least on the day of the summit, because I don't really do a whole bunch of public speaking, so it was nice to be like, oh, okay, here's like the culmination of all of our efforts put into one, and it was just really cool to see it come together.
I would say I definitely learned to like delegate work with like a group of people who actually want to do the work. And like coming from like I just like graduated high school not too long ago, so like I haven't really been around like a group of people where I've been a part of a project and people actually want to do their parts. So like learning to just like let go of these responsibilities just like a little bit and be able to like rely on someone else.
I have to agree with both Morgan and Alex because like I definitely there was points in this, the whole media summit process, like creating it, where I have called or emailed or text Professor Suarez being like, "Are you sure you don't need me to do this? Are you sure?" Yada yada yada. Like, why don't you want me to help? And he's like, "No, don't worry. You don't need to help. Like, there's other people doing it." I'm like, "But like, I feel like I'm doing nothing." He's like, "No, you're good. You're good. Just relax." And I don't know. I've stressed out a lot more than I've needed to on the whole summit, and definitely time management. I've learned. I also do have to say working with different types of people because, and like how people work because I feel like I myself, if something like I try to respond like very fast if it's like a whole thing. I do feel like communication was a little hard to get around during the making of the media summit, but I definitely do think that we all worked it out.
Some great takeaways as far as you actually working on and putting this summit together, which is a phenomenal accomplishment. What did you take away, let's say, as a member of the audience, as an Oswego student, listening to the advice coming in from the panelists? What were some of your takeaways there?
One of the main things that I really liked that I heard Rich Wolf say repeatedly was luck and happenstance. He would say, d don't underestimate the timing of like luck and happenstance, which is like kind of like where you are, who you're talking to. Very much so, I believe what Chris mentioned about being in the right place at the right time, and
Mhm.
what Jesse also said about that. And I really like that. I think that's definitely something I can actually implement into my life, you know? So yeah, that was something that I think is definitely very very good. to remember, especially going into our future careers.
Mhm.
At one point, Jake Piacenti had like hammered in the point that like if you like want to make it, especially like in this industry, if there's someone that needs to be the person to do something, you should be that person to do it. If there's someone who needs to like learn a new piece of equipment and learn how to run it, you should be the first person like to line up to do it. Like be there to like be versatile, basically, which I feel like is great advice, especially like being in the broadcasting industry and they're replacing people all the time. So like you need job security. And I feel like that's like one of the best ways to have it is just to collect all those skills.
I mean, I just think again, it's really just at the right place at the right time. I do think that for most people, or a lot of the people that were there that day, I'm not saying everyone, but a lot of them didn't start out liking, I feel like that aspect, like broadcasting. They kind of like jumped into it, but then they realized they liked it, which I found was interesting. Besides like Jake Piacenti, who I think he said that he's always wanted to be in that field.
Mhm.
Um, I realized like it's I don't know, it's like you find your passion for it in the industry, not so much as like that they want it, like starting off wanting to do it.
Yeah, one of and I hear this, I hear it a lot, and it's great advice when Amada mentioned the importance of being flexible, right, of being adaptable. Because having a skill set like that where you can quickly adapt to any situation as they come up really does, it does open a lot of doors for you in your career. So I thought that was also some great advice from there.
And that's true not only in broadcasting, Kevin. That's true in like life. Like you got
Yeah.
to be adaptable to situations.
I think one thing actually I did take away was I think Jake Piacenti and Cameron were talking about this. Correct me if I'm wrong, or they probably were talking about earlier in the day, but they were saying that you can be the most skilled at what you do, but if you're just unlikable, nobody's going to want to work with you regardless. Which definitely is something I try to take away or do with anything. Just try to be respectful to everybody.
Some of the things that were discussed during the summit, one of the things that Jake, I believe, mentioned was trying to find the appropriate content to place on the appropriate social media platform. Right, that's going to be finding that algorithm, right, feeding the right algorithm at the right time. So what it seems like that's going to be a challenge for yourselves, for future broadcasters, is to try to tailor the same content for the different social media platforms that are out there. I mean, how challenging do you think that will be?
Feel like as like the social media coordinator, I could really speak on this. It's so at the beginning we already had like some previously established like engagements and like previous followers and previous members of the media summit that were following it. So that was like a good start, but then trying to like rebuild like all that hype from like the previous year, like a year hiatus is like a long time for a social media platform to be dead.
Mm.
So like just like trying to find like what platform would respond well to what.
Mm.
That was probably like the biggest challenge, and we didn't have much like freedom as much as what to post um regarding some things because there were a lot of like parameters, like you had to have like these dimensions, you had to like keep it this length, the copyrighted content, and there's only so many stock photos and stock videos of broadcasting equipment you can really find. So we were really limited on that. But it was kind of just mostly just like throwing like a shot in the dark and like hoping something would stick. But we did have like our graphic designer Travis. He did a fantastic job at like building some engagement with like his great designs, and then also our PR coordinator Emily. She also was great at like keeping up that posting schedule and making sure people were seeing things.
Which platform got the biggest response coming out of the summit?
It was definitely our Instagram. Our Facebook had was a runner up, and our Twitter hasn't seen the light of the explore page in a while.
Old technology there. I'm kind of surprised Facebook is still a thing. I have to be honest.
We have it set up so like our Instagram will automatically post to our Facebook.
Okay.
So
Yes,
I didn't
of
really
course.
have to do much, but trying to log back into Facebook when you're not having on the original device is so hard.
Nightmare. Is it more likely that journalists will be doing their own thing and becoming like their own brand? I see a lot of branding, Instagram type of accounts, instead of working for like a TV station or a traditional media organization?
I definitely think that that is possible, especially when we look at a lot more of the breakaways from like traditional cable viewing, at least from a lot of like the younger audience. I know a lot of people, like I'm part of like Generation Z, it's Jesse and Morgan are a part of too. And I've noticed a lot of my peers, there's a lot more of a focus on like social media, like TikTok, X, the app formerly known as Twitter,
Mhm.
and Facebook and Instagram. There is a lot more pull of engagement, especially using like short form content, vertical content. And I think anyone who's looking to go into journalism may find that a little bit easier, especially if they can gain a bit more of a following. I don't think there should be a shift fully away from traditional media companies like ABC, CBS, and whatnot, and other like newsrooms. I do think those still remain prominent, but how they go about that like transition to a more short form content will kind of determine how many viewers they might even get 10, 20 years from now.
I think, although I do agree with you, Alex, I do think that social media, like being able to have that following, and I feel like I'm noticing more and more that platforms like TikTok and YouTube, you can really make a name for yourself on both those platforms, and especially with TikTok. Oh my God, you can like one video can just go viral and everyone could just forget about you the next day because they found the next video. Like it goes so fast. It really does, and it's getting faster and faster.
So, Alex, you think it's kind of more like probably 50-50 down the road, but Jess, you seem to think it's more kind of, I would say like more of like a 70-30 more in the digital realm.
Yeah, I never think it hurts to, to be more old fashioned. And I can't even believe I'm saying that that's more old fashioned, but um because I feel like TikTok wasn't even like it hasn't even been around for that long. It's already like has, made every other platform obsolete essentially. But I definitely think that within the next few years and even now, we're getting information so fast. I just find it amazing sometimes.
And the challenge with that though is what is good information versus what is not good information. That's kind
Mhm.
of the part where social media you have to really decipher on your own as opposed to like your traditional vetted journalists getting the information, and putting that out as actual news. So yeah, it's definitely something to consider.
What do you guys think of like AI, within the media right now? Do you think that's something that could keep going?
I think that AI, whether we like it or not, it is going to spread and it's going to become very mainstream. We can see it now with like
Mhm.
Apple and Google's like brand new phones that are coming out. They have their AI assistants that are like replacing Siri and like the Google voice. So I think it's definitely gonna make its way into our society. And I think at this point we just have to like learn to adapt with it and also teach people how to decipher between AI work and human work because we really can't replace human work because that's just going to be like a recipe for a dystopian disaster basically.
I don't know. I think it's just a boundary. It's just a boundary I just don't want to cross yet. I really don't want to see AI. Like, I don't want to see people really being dependent on it just yet. I feel like for myself, I just think it's kind of like, and I'm sure everyone has used like, say like Chat GPT, but like all this video, like the fact that you could just type in something and like make a video of this, and like I'm just seeing all these like, things on like on these social media platforms, and like I don't know, it's like you're starting to not really know if you could really trust the video or not. And I don't like that feeling because I feel like the reason why we had these platforms in the first place is so, that you get the truth more. Like you can see what's happening, in person or like what happened at that time. But now that all these videos and stuff can be replicated and changed and altered, I think I don't know. I don't really like it. Maybe when time, like, as time goes on, maybe depending on what we use AI for, but I don't know. I think it's kind of scary.
Yeah, I think I agree with both of you, honestly. It depends on entirely like how it's used, especially Jesse, like you said, like I know there's a lot more of a prominence of like misinformation and deep
Mhm.
fakes and stuff like that that's already kind of throughout social media. So kind of going back to what Chris said a little bit on the last point, yeah, it's definitely something to watch out for. Like if you're a rising journalist, you want to make sure you're actually giving true information. And if AI is going to be considered in that, I think that it could be used as a tool, but it's a very thin line as far as if it can be a tool or if it can be a hindrance, especially when you think about like artists and creative folk and any of their contributions too. It's just probably like the ethics of it. And that's something we won't see for a while, but I do think that's going to play a very big role down the line.
And do you use AI at school at all? Whether you're, whether it's in classes, whether it's, I don't know if you, what media organizations you work at, but do you at all use AI in any of these?
I
I
actually have a professor, and he allows us to quote and like cite AI for our work as long as less than 15% of the total work written within the assignment is AI generated. And we have to like clearly like label it in the text, like change the text to like a whole different color and like cite it properly, like APA style.
I personally don't use it, so it's interesting, Morgan, to hear that that is used, that there are instances where that can be used. So in that, I guess, yeah, it is definitely a tool, something that can help you a lot. But no, I personally, I don't. I don't really. I've not used it a lot. I hear a lot about it, but it's not something I personally use.
I do think it is very helpful in regards to research. I think it is because I feel like for me myself, I have ADHD. I feel like it's very hard for me, which like I feel like it's not an excuse. Yeah, I use ChatGPT because I have ADHD. I that rhymed by the way, that was pretty good. But besides the point, um, besides the point, I definitely do think it's a lot harder for myself. I don't know about you guys, but it's a lot harder for myself to kind of like lock in and really like, find certain things, like really like nitpick on like certain texts and stuff. And I am not gonna lie, I mean, I don't use it to do my work, but I use it to, help me be able to set up my work so like I could then, get into it.
My favorite use of AI is to jazz up a slide deck in PowerPoint. This is what I use it for primarily these days, is to give me an image, like what type in whatever you want, and presto, you get a picture that's your property basically. Because I know Microsoft, I go with Microsoft's platform Copilot, and anything you generate through that program is yours. It belongs to you. So I don't have to worry about copyright. I don't have to worry about any of that.
Really?
I generate it, save it, and then I can use it on our website, Throwing Bagels, or on stuff I put together for work. So it's a I think AI in that way, it's a phenomenal shortcut instead of me having to search online and looking for free images that are royalty free and worrying about downloading the wrong one that was copyrighted. I could just kind of handle it myself. So I think that's at least one phenomenal aspect of AI that I've come across and that I'll use constantly every chance I get.
So what led to your interest in broadcasting for all three of you, um and your interest in attending Oswego?
So I actually was part of my high school, so way back before COVID. My high school's a broadcasting and communications club in Jamestown. And they actually got like a donation, I think, from our local radio station that let them update all the equipment. And we had like a whole team of people where we do like morning announcements and cover like small things going on. And I don't know, I first joined it my freshman year and just fell in love with it. I loved the idea of producing and seeing like what the stories I could create, like what impact they could have. And so yeah, so I went to community college my first 2 years and then transferred. And so I didn't get the opportunity at my community college because they only let you do one major. And I did business. So that's where the business portion of my degree comes in. But I was able to branch out. I chose Oswego. My mom went there, graduated with her business degree. And I was like, I can see myself in the broadcasting industry. I really enjoy seeing what people do with it. And so I was like, you know what? And there's so many different like places you can go with it. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go there and do it. And so far, I've loved it. I think there isn't any other school I would have chosen to pursue a degree like this from. So.
Yeah, my junior year of high school, So my high school at the time offered a program called OCM BOCES, where half of the day you could go and like learn a skill, learn a trade, whatever. And I had heard about this one class they had just started. It's called Media Marketing Communications, and they hosted it in the WCNY building in downtown Syracuse. And I was like, sick, that's my hometown. I might as well go for it. So my first year it was actually being taught by a professor who teaches still at SUNY Oswego. Her name's Mary Beth Longo. She's fantastic. Um, so she was teaching that, and I was like, okay, this is actually like really cool. And it was a 2-year course, so I got to continue it my senior year. And then that's where we got into more like event planning and like more like the communications and like video production aspect of it. I was like, okay, I really want to go here. And my aunt and my grandfather had both graduated from Oswego, and they told me that it was a great school for broadcasting and communications. And I already had a connect up there with a professor, so I was like, okay, I might as well give it a shot. And I ended up just loving it.
I started off not even wanting to go to college. I didn't even want to go to college after I graduated. I hated high school so much. I was like, why do I want to do this for another 4 years in school? Like, I could just start working. But I don't know. I think during my senior year of high school, I got the idea of SUNY Oswego because every year they have like a all these colleges, all these people from every college in New York and around New York just come to you like in our gymnasium and just present themselves and stuff like that. And one of the first presentations when I walked in was SUNY Oswego. There's these two women, and she was talking to me about the whole broadcast program. And I really like film, and I like producing, and I like all that stuff. I have a TikTok. I did TikTok for a while in high school, which did pretty good. But then I kind of like just like not lost interest, but I just plateaued with my ideas, and I don't know, or create artist block. But anyways, I'm getting off track. I was gonna say after graduating high school, I still did not want to go to college. My parents were like, let's just look at some colleges. And she was just telling me to throw out a few names of different colleges we should go see. And then we'll drive up or drive down, depending on, where the school is. And I just, I named a few colleges short. I said, like Buffalo State. And then I just said like a random Florida school because, why not? Uh, and then, and I threw out SUNY Oswego because, it was just I talked to one of them the most. So I was like, why not? I never even seen the school. So we drove up to all those schools. We drove down as well. And I looked at every school. I didn't really like it. And I was a very shy kid in high school. And now looking back at it, person now. So looking back at it, I'm like shocked at myself. And then we came around SUNY Oswego after visiting Buffalo, and I was like, damn, that was a pretty intense school, like the big like Buffalo University. And I just I don't know. It's always the scenery that gets you. Because I looked at the lake, I looked at the campus, I thought it was beautiful. I did eventually really like the school. Yeah, after traveling to multiple colleges. So yeah.
All right. So before we get y'all out of here, this is a question I would like to ask our guests that are either current students or alumni. And we'll start with Morgan. Do you have an on-campus meal that you absolutely love? Like for us, for instance, we love the chicken patty sandwich. Like that was our go-to. Absolutely had to have a chicken patty sandwich when it was available. Morgan, I turn it over to you. What is your go-to meal on campus?
Oh gosh. Okay, so if I'm getting something from like one of the cafes, it's definitely the chicken Caesar wrap. Um, but if I'm going to like the dining hall, it's probably the butter chicken and the basmati rice that they serve.
Butter
It's
Fancy.
chicken.
Wow, it's so fancy.
What?
specifically from Cooper Dining Hall. It's so good.
They didn't have no butter chicken. We were in school. What is that about? Butter chicken with rice, basmati rice for that. Listen. I love Indian food. We didn't have that one. That's not. We were chicken patty sandwiches and cheeseburgers, man.
It was like throw some slop on a bun and that was it.
I mean, honestly, Alex, how about you?
So I actually love that Morgan said the Cooper Hall buttered chicken because I actually used to work at Cooper Hall, and personally, I'd make sure that rice was on point. So I'm glad you liked it.
There you go.
Uh,
There you go.
but I actually also I would really love their curry, and we'd have sloppy Joe day, which sound like I just really like the sloppy Joes. What can I say? They were good.
Sloppy
So,
Joe
Curry.
salad.
Wow. Man, they've upped their game a lot since we
Oh
were in
my
school.
God. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
How about you, Jesse?
I do have to say my new favorite meal, as of today, because they were serving it in Pathfinder, is the kebabs, which they've never served them before. And I was like, this school must be getting some type of money, because they've had blackberries every other day now, and blackberries are my favorite fruit, and they'd be expensive. Like that fruit expensive. So yeah, I mean, off the top of my head, I can't really think of any other food right now, but the kebabs were, and the steak today too. It was really good. It was really good.
Yeah, we didn't get anything like this when we were in
No,
college.
not even close. Not even
That's why we stuck
remotely
to chicken
close.
patty sandwiches.
Seriously.
Okay, to be fair, they do serve chicken patty sandwiches every day. So I like, maybe freshman year, halfway through the semester, I would have said that they were good, but now they're like, I've just had them every day.
Yeah.
See,
I thought
we didn't get them every day either. We got them like twice a week.
It was twice
and then
a
it was
week,
like
yeah.
burger day twice a week.
Yeah.
And then something else. And then it was,
Yeah.
and
Pasta.
then fish on Fridays for the Catholic people.
Oh my. Oh,
See,
that's a lot. There's a lot of chicken now, so sorry.
yeah.
So,
It's like the novelty is worn off because it's everywhere
Yeah.
now. Like it's not circled on the calendar. It's just there all
Yeah.
the time.
I would have to say the same for the salmon rice bowls. I don't know if Morgan and Alex could feel the same. But I thought
What are we
that was
talking
so
about
good.
here?
It was so
You guys
good.
are,
freshman
man,
year.
you've got Oswego's gone bougie.
I mean,
It
right,
really
seriously.
has. It has.
It's gotten Southern Cal, man. What in the world?
Next, they're going to
Yeah.
start poke bowls and stuff like that.
Serious. It sounds like they already do.
They do.
Actually, they do.
Yeah.
Hey, when you start saying salmon bowls, dude, that's a poke bowl, man.
Yeah.
With quinoa.
Good. I think they do actually. They have served quinoa. I think.
They have,
Of
course.
yeah. If there's extra, we serve it.
It's
Yeah.
like a regular like salad topping they have at the salad
Yeah.
bar.
I mean,
Yeah,
Oh my
that is
God.
true. That is
we
true.
went to school in the Stone Ages. I mean, good Lord.
Right. That's always bound to happen. Like Hewitt Hall's coming in. Morgan's gonna see it, but me and Alex are. I mean, unless Alex goes to grad school. I mean, I'm
I
not gonna be
will
able to.
be, but I'll have to come back because I probably won't live in the area once it opens. I'll make like a trip back up at the ending of my year at grad school.
Oh, I'm mad. I don't know if I could say pissed, but I'm pissed that I can't see Hewitt Hall. Damn, because I know they got the robot cameras too, like the movable like that's cool. That's so cool. I can't see that.
You'll just crash the party, Jess, next year. Just
Yeah, it's
come,
all right.
come on in.
That's what
Come
we're
on up.
doing.
You know where to find it.
Yeah.
We've been
I get-
pushing to use the podcast studio be the first people to use the podcast studio.
Yeah,
That would
we'll
be
see how
cool.
that works out. We'll let you know.
Okay, thank you. I'm just really hoping I could get, or like all three of us, if we could just get an invite back, to potentially become panelists. I think that would be a good full circle moment.
Yeah, we're still waiting for our invite. So get in line.
Oh, it's all right. Don't say that. Don't say that.
Look, the three of you are gonna do great things, and there's little
Agreed.
doubt in our minds that you will be a panelist someday at the Lewis B.
Someday.
O'Donnell Summit.
Yes.
You will be. Write it down.
Thank you.
And we look forward to that.
All right.
So
We have to come back. We have to all come back on this podcast and confirm that when we become panelists.
There you go.
yes. You're welcome anytime. You know what? Anytime. Just email us and say,
Open
hey,
invite.
I want to
right.
come on your next podcast. We're like, all right, let's do it.
All right,
So-
cool. That's awesome. That's awesome.
So you have a permanent invite, the three of you, to come back on and update us on your life. And there we go.
Thank you so much.
Hold on, we gotta get one more question. Chris didn't
Okay.
get the second part of his question.
Yes, I'm sorry. We got derailed there a little
we
bit.
got sidetracked with the bouginess of the.
I know.
of the dining halls and stuff
Seriously,
like that.
yeah, it threw me off. It really did. Like salmon poke bowls. Get out of here with that. It's gonna be a chicken sandwich. Do you guys have an off-campus eatery that you enjoy and like to go to?
Oh God.
Yeah.
Man, If it's a night out, it's probably Wanzones every time. I mean, it's quick.
What is it?
It's
What's that one?
Wanzones.
One
Cheap, easy.
zones.
You guys never had Wanzones?
I don't think one
There's
zones
no
existed.
way. There's no
What kind of food is it?
It's calzones.
Yeah.
He's
Okay.
open from 3 p.m. to like 4 a.m.
Oh,
Makes
for all the
sense.
drunk college students.
Yes,
Oh,
of
Nice.
course.
I gotta call my
And-
boy Jason. I gotta call
Is
him
it?
up.
Where is it located? Is it downtown?
It's right like in the heart of town, like right before
Okay.
you get to the bridge. It's
Okay.
right by Cam's Pizza.
Okay.
okay.
Interesting.
If you guys are ever in
Honest-
Oswego, you gotta get it. It's so good.
That- Wow, I didn't realize that you guys didn't have Wanzones. That's,
Yeah, no, that surprises me.
that's
Nope.
crazy.
It's
Half
like
the stuff that you
spot
guys
now.
have now they didn't even exist when we were there. There
First of
are
all,
things.
Oswego is all bars when we were there.
Oh,
Like-
literally, like 100%, like just bars, just line with bars, and there's like a random pizza shop. So
Like
Yeah.
the children's museum, when you cross the bridge, that was a bar.
that was a
Oh,
bar. It's a bar and concert hall, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't remember any place serving calzones back when we were. I don't
I
think
mean, I'm
Cam's
sure.
did. Maybe did
Cam's Pizza,
Pavone's.
maybe?
Can't. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm sure Pavone's does.
Yeah, probably. Too expensive for us though.
it was. Yeah, when there's no question. Alex, did you have a favorite spot off campus?
I do. So I've since moved off campus, but I love going downtown to it. It just opened last year. It's called The Fuse, and they make like sushi, poke bowls. They make a lot of cool stuff like that, and have boba tea. So I love to go there. And also, if I'm looking for a good coffee, I like to go to the Connection. They like to make a lot of. They're a cute little spot downtown, and they make a lot of really good drinks. So I'll go there every so often and check them out.
What about
I gotta
you,
write
Jesse?
that down. Connection.
I have a few places. I really like Nora's. I like Port City Cafe. I like Red Sun. Yeah, there's a bunch of places like the new place, the Mexican place out. Is it Wacko Taco or something like that?
Oh, Wacko Gringo.
Wacko Gringo. Oh, my fault.
Wacko Gringo is a
Um,
great name.
Yeah. No, but like I'm not gonna lie, there's a lot of food choices. There's a lot of food choices in Oswego. There's starting to be a lot more. Which I really like. I do really want a Chipotle. I can't stress that enough. I can't drive 40 minutes for a Chipotle anymore.
All right, so here I got to be honest here. This is an honest moment here in this part of the podcast. I'm very disappointed no one said the Oswego sub shop. Like, what is going on? There's no one that goes to Oswego that doesn't go to a sub shop.
I was gonna say them because whenever I used to want a sub last semester, I would always get like a 12-inch sub from them with like everything on it and then extra honey mustard. So I still love them. They're still a go-to.
All right.
I would have said it. It's usually not my first choice. It's usually not my first choice, just because the only thing I really get from there is the meatball sub. And I feel like I get so much other foods at like Port City. Like I'm just thinking variety. I feel like for myself, I'm getting a lot more stuff than the sandwich places.
Well, this was fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us, Alex and Jess and Morgan. This has been a lot of fun. Congratulations on putting together a phenomenal Louis B. O'Donnell Media Summit. Give yourselves a round of applause, a pat on the back. You deserve it. All the best to you in your careers. You, like we said before, you'll do great things, and you'll be
Agreed.
back. You'll be a panelist. There you go. And we will keep in touch. Thank you.
Thank you.
No, thank you guys so much. It was a pleasure being on this podcast, and I definitely do hope that all three of us could reconnect. Was it back onto this podcast in about hopefully 5 or so years? I think that would be very cool.
Thank you guys for the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity.
That was a recap of the Dr. Louis B. O'Donnell Media Summit, which was held last week on the SUNY Oswego campus in Waterman Theater, I believe. So joining us on the podcast, and thanks very much to Alex Moss, the event director of the summit, Jesse Kushner, the assistant event director, and thanks as well to Morgan Schaffer, the social media coordinator of the event. They had so much to juggle. behind the scenes on the day of the event, and they really knocked it out of the park. So congratulations to them. And we will link to the summit. They do, it is out on YouTube, so we'll make sure to link to it on our website at throwingbagels.com. So it's great to hear that it was the 20th anniversary event and that it was an all Laker panel. So that certainly makes us proud.
It's always cool. It really is always to have like alum come back. And I think we've had this conversation before, alum coming back and kind of, laying out, the realities of the industry and, what students need to do to get into the industry and, happenstance and, right place, the right time. And if you talk to the right people, make good connections, you'll be successful. So, yeah, I thought that was great.
They did it. I think they did a great job. It's great to see the kids, the kids, the students being working on things like this and, being able to put these productions together, and it's good to see, that, there's two seniors and one sophomore. So it wasn't just, all upperclassmen.
Right,
Like it's good
right.
to see that, someone like Morgan was there, doing her thing as well.
Yeah, and it's a phenomenal learning experience, I'm sure, for everyone involved. And man, if they had this back in our day, that would have been a lot of fun. But we only missed it. We only really missed it by a few years.
Yeah, a couple of years.
So,
Yeah, that's right.
but it was a great idea by Lou Borelli and Al Roker, both prominent Oswego alumni, who decided let's honor Dr. Lewis O'Donnell, who was a longtime, broadcasting professor at SUNY Oswego. He wrote many a textbook in the about the broadcasting industry, and students have been reading his textbooks for years. And so we were there after Dr. O'Donnell, was on campus, but certainly left his mark at Oswego in the broadcasting industry in general. So it was great to have this summit every year to really remind us all of his contributions, to the industry.
Agreed.
How about those Mets?
How about those Mets?
Oh,
Scared the crap out of me. But how about
wow.
I didn't think it was going to happen. I'm not going to lie. I had no faith. I had no faith whatsoever.
That was going to Vegas, winning a lot of money at the craps table, taking that money, losing most of it at another table, and then coming back and winning it again, and then winning more after that. That was crazy what happened.
So we were all like, and I know I mentioned this probably last podcast or the one before that, where the Mets were going to head into that Atlanta series needing just one win and they would get swept.
You did. You called it.
And it came pretty darn close.
Yeah.
But the Mets. So, and if you're not familiar with the Mets or don't follow baseball, good for you, man. You're really saving yourself
You're
a
ahead
lot
of
of
the game.
wrinkles, a lot of stress headaches, and wrinkles on your face by not following baseball. Good job out of you. But so the Mets had to win. They had a doubleheader against the Braves today. They had to win one of them. As we speak, it's Monday. So this was the day of the big doubleheader. So they had to win one of them to clinch a postseason spot. Game one, Mets are down 3-0. In the 8th inning, we thought, this is it. Mets somehow score 6 runs in the top of the 8th, take a 6-3 lead. Braves come back in the bottom of the 8th to take a 7-6 lead. And we thought again, well, there it is, season over. Top of the 9th, Francisco Lindor, 2-run home run, gives the Mets an 8-7 lead. And we're like, oh my God, this can't be happening right now. So bottom of the 9th, you're like, all right, well, here it is. The Mets going to blow this and it's over. But they didn't.
They
didn't blow it.
This time they
won
didn't.
the game.
Yeah,
I still can't believe that went out. I did not think that was a home run.
No.
I did not think that was going to be a home run. I thought it was just going to be a fly ball to the outfield.
So
Shocked when I saw that go out.
I mean, guys, it has literally been a good 9 years at least since we've seen a game like that.
Yeah. No question.
2015 was a heck of a run to the World Series, filled with many memorable games, but I cannot remember any game since then that was as big as this one.
Yeah.
Well, I have my Division Series tickets. I'm ready to go.
Nice.
ready to
Excellent.
go. I have wild card tickets too, but obviously they're not playing the wild card here, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But I bought tickets just in case. Figured there was always a chance when they went on sale that they were gonna win that first wild card, and that went out the window very quickly when they decided to go to Atlanta and lose the first game, and then lose 2 or 3 in Milwaukee. So yeah.
Yeah, I think one of these days what we should do just as a thing on our website is put up our text string for like moments like that, because it was outrageous what we were saying.
I don't know if we can put it up there, can we?
We have to redacct some stuff.
That
Let's
was just wild.
black
man.
that out. Let's black this out. Forget
Absolutely
that.
wild.
That's not going online.
Yeah. I needed a cigarette after that. Like, honestly, I didn't
know,
smoke.
right?
I didn't even smoke.
I needed a drink. I was like,
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Shot of whiskey or something. Good Lord.
But the postseason begins tomorrow. And by the time this podcast hits the air, the Mets season may be over.
They could be swept.
It's over. They could be done, but they could not be done. They may have swept, and they may still be on their way to the next round. Who knows, guys? All right. I think that'll do it for this edition of the Throwing Bagels podcast. What a day it was. A little Mets win, talking about the summit. You can follow us online, throwingbagels.com. Email us, throwingbagelspodcast@gmail.com. And we'll see you next time. Oh, do you know what? The next time we talk, it's hockey time. Can you believe that?
Wow.
So it's amazing. Coach Ed Gozick will join us
About that.
on the next
right.
Throwing
Love me
Bagels
some hockey.
podcast. Got to talk hockey. Got to preview the upcoming season. 18 new Lakers on the
Wow.
roster this year.
That's a lot.
So it's quite the overhaul. So talk to Coach about that.
Do you think he likes salmon bowls?
I think he does. I think he could go.
I would
We'll
assume
ask
so.
him.
We will.
Well,
We'll have to ask him.
him. Okay. I mean, if there's anyone who knows where to get food in Oswego, it would be
Hey, he's
Coach
got to
Gozick.
get it, right? Yeah.
He's a legend.
He's like the mayor, basically.
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 Bye.
Bye.
Salmon bowl.